Nina. Good day, good evening, good night, good morning, and welcome to our 122nd podcast. And the title of this podcast is Federer's Playing the Ass on Grass. Yes, welcome, ladies. Before I go any further, let me first just say, again, this is Pride Month, and I'm still waiting for an ATP man to come out of the closet and a WTA lady. I'm just saying, Amelie did it for you, ladies. Come on now, let's get it done and rolling. A high roller. I don't want someone who plays in the scrub winches league. Who nobody
You're a mess. I think you just have to be happy.
I mean, like, good for you, girl, but we don't know you. I want someone, like Caroline Garcia, someone in top flight. I'm not outing her. I'm just saying top flight lady. Okay? I don't want a top flight man. In fact, be messy about it. Be already married. I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
But before I go any further, let me introduce my co-hostesses with the mostesses. Ladies, just so you know, I give a pride parade just to be here with you, ladies. So,
please, you weren't fucking born
that's not important, Janina. You're dealing with facts, and we live in a world where facts are not important, okay? So we have Andreen from Solely Tennis Travel. How are you, girl?
I'm really doing well. I'm happy at life. Not really.
Enough time has passed. Federer has lost.
Oh my God. You know what? Can I tell you? I'll be 100% honest about that. I expected Federer to lose 2 days ago.
That is true. That is true. So right about now, let's say a special prayer for Benoit, because Benoit, you had that in the bag, and then you let some little opponent tourist just roll up in there and snatch what should have been yours.
I mean, listen, let's be honest. You know that Benoit would have lost the next round. I'm just
hope springs eternal, okay?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let us just say, if Benoit felt himself and he beat Federer convincingly, he'd have a little pep in his step, and maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't have tripped over in the semifinals. In the finals, yes, but not in the semifinals. Let's just be hopeful at that point.
Okay, I'm gonna make a confession, because this is this is for you.
It's Sunday, and Janina went to internet church already.
Yes, and I went to Twitter church, which is just as good. I'm confessing because I remember years ago when you wanted to add Benoit Paire to your list, your top 6. I think I came down very hard on you. And I'd like
no. Very high
hard.
would have been something like, who picks Benoit? Y'all was like, Benoit ain't a motherfucker number 3. Who the fuck been Benoit? He ain't number 2. Y'all drag me for film. Okay, and I'm just saying, you can't get Benoit. That just means you can watch enough.
I'm not even. I was just gonna give you a little bit of props. Look, I mean, just can I breathe right now and give you some props?
No, because I'm petty. I'm petty. You know that too.
It's okay. So anyway, I've been following him on Instagram. I just want to say that he's really fuckable, but I'll give that to you. Thank
you, Captain Obvious. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I mean,
he's full of life. He fills out a pair of shorts really nicely.
Yes, he does.
And
he's tall.
He's not afraid to eat. And those are 3 of my favorite activities: filling out shorts nicely.
And he likes people of color.
Generally.
Generally. So he hasn't been messy on that point. Let's just say that.
He hasn't said any comments about people working at a souk, right?
Exactly.
I remember every insult a person has ever done on tennis around people around race. But anyway, so I'm just going to give that back to you. I'm going to give you permission to go down the Benoit Paire road, especially if he keeps the haircut. I'm feeling it.
Do you like the white hair?
I kind of do, man. I love all of it. I love the whole metrosexual.
We all know the French. If the French were winning, they would be running shit. God, but they don't win because they bring that X factor to all of them, whether they're playing doubles, triples,
or whatever. About that? We live in a world where
but
Spaniards are winning things. We can't. This is not a good world. I'm just saying that. If you got to choose between the Spaniards and the French, you want the French.
The French. But before we go any further, let us not pretend like there isn't a third person here. The Christina McHale, the Kato Killing of podcast, Janina from Foreign, Ohio. How are you, girl? I guess you're 100%, right? Because you were shading me even before the podcast started. But let me just say, even if I had dying breath, Janina would say something obnoxious to me, even as she lay dying. She wouldn't even say goodbye to her son. That'd be the second to last thing. Then she'd be saying like, "Realz, shut it," and then wah wah wah. How are you feeling today, Janina?
Well, I'm a little annoyed that I woke up for this tennis, but other than that, okay.
Stop telling lies. You woke up for soccer.
I know, girl. Nobody buys you waking up early for tennis.
Exactly. You woke up for 8 o'clock. Tennis started at 7.
7:30. I figured that was a good place to start, and I was like, "Oh, this is." I told Tony this morning, none of the sports are really captivating me today.
Maybe because you're all tired. Maybe your body needs a rest because you have a full-time job covering soccer. You're watching all 3 matches a day. Basically, you're occupied from 8 to 4,
and having really strong opinions.
I mean, this is soccer mom to the 10th degree.
I have tricked Maya into even thinking that I'm knowledgeable about the sport.
Well, you should know something. You drag your kid around to all these tournaments every goddamn week. We can't do this. We have soccer today. I have a soccer meeting. I have soccer practice. Here's a game today. Oh my God. Take him to swimming. Just drop him off in the pool. Just say, don't drown my baby. And then you're good to go. But soccer it is. You decide to pick soccer. But hey. So, and of course, there is Realz, the homosexual of the podcast. Ladies, how are we going on today in the world of tennis? Catch any ladies matches, ladies?
No. I saw some on my Twitter feed.
That's nothing.
I mean, if internet church counts, I guess that counts as watching today. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, really and truly, it almost like I almost feel it.
Still for you, because I know you were able to catch it, and so we count on you as our WTA correspondent.
Let me just say, I think we might have better options. Better.
Where is Karen when we her the most?
There are odds in our favor. She couldn't because she was on Twitter saying, "Can I see a match, please?" Whether her internet provider was telling her there is a WTA match coming up, her cable provider, and there wasn't anything. She's on a different sport package now. So I think we can find El Dorado before we find sustaining good coverage of the WTA. So let's go find gold, people, because we ain't finding it. But I would say I don't know if this is. No, I don't think this is a
Petra.
But we have the Hagenbusch. We have the Hagenbusch, whatever that one is in. I think that's in Holland. Alexander Krunic beat Kristen Flipkins. Your girl Kristen. Let me just say, girl Kristen had that match in her bag. And then
sure she did. I'm not shocked by that end.
I'm not used to winning, so let me just let this little girl just snatch this. And Kristen,
I'm just gonna let you know, Kristen's really only good at sexy photo shoots. That's all.
That is true, but I would think, considering her lack of power therein, and she was, dominating the match, she would have been like, "Let me just. This is a steal. Let me just run with this." But she was like, "Nope." The Krunic came in and Krunic realized, I should be winning this match. And she took that last set with a breadstick. And we have Nottingham, which apparently unproblematic fave for you to stand. Ashley Barty, just showing Realz what the fuck you know about me. She took Joanna Konta. And this is Joanna Konta's second time losing in the Nottingham finals. Girl, this is not a cute look. She lost last year to Dana Vekic. And let me just say, Joanna Konta, she be very salty when she gets into the press box. She's not be having. She might be representing
as well, or just forthcoming. That's what I've heard. She's
she is, but
sharing her feelings.
But they don't want that from the British ladies. They don't want that. She's very Australian, and they're trying to make her into a British lady, and she's not all about that. So you lost the final, and it's one of those things, another 3-set quote-unquote thriller. But Ashley Barty, congrats. You showed up as #1 seed, and you won it. But still, tell Fila, girl, you're looking like somebody's frumpy grandmother. So fix that shit, girl. Let's hopefully in White at Wimbledon they could fix that. And in Birmingham, we have Petra. Took out Rybarikova. I think Rybarikova almost beat her a couple of weeks ago in the French Open first round, right? Was it? But anyway, one of these girls anyway. So Petra won Birmingham. And in Mallorca, Tia Marie. I don't think that's her name, but I'm just gonna call her Tia Marie. Maria.
Oh shit.
Although that's not a bad name.
I'm just saying. I just said Tia Marie, but I just realized her name is Tia Marie. But this had a somewhat decent feel, you know. Caroline Garcia. She got knocked out. Vika was there. Safasheva was there. Tomljanovic, I thought she was gonna get to the finals. I thought Stosa was gonna win this tournament because what's her name? Our good girlfriend. What's her name? Muggs decided she wasn't about this life. Nah, Kerber, was Muggs here? I'm almost sure Muggs was here.
Muggs lost a pretty. I think she lost a surprise match yesterday, two days ago. She played some tennis.
Oh, she probably was in Birmingham then, because I don't see her here.
She was not there. She was in Birmingham. Like, screw you, Mallorca. I ain't falling for that again.
Not because I'm Spanish, I should be over there. Because they have a very weird setup tournament. They're basically playing in a hole, and like people are sitting like right next to them. It's a very weird center court.
Oh, is that the place where they have like the concrete blocks?
Yeah, remember we talked about how unsafe it was.
Yeah, it's a very she was just like, I ain't feeling this, and like they're too close for comfort. Kerber still looking like a hot mess. Kerber, I don't know what's going on with you, girl, but you know what? Keep it up. Keep it up. I'm good with that.
I think Wimbledon gives everyone new life, though.
It's true. It's white. It's white, and you get to wash all those things away.
Yeah, wash your sins.
But you know what? Muggs has not defended a major title or any title for that matter. So, look, Venus girl, maybe you can snatch it this time around. I'm just saying, in the early heat. And on the men's side, there was a Hagenbosch on the men's side. Richard Gasquet beat Jeremy Shadi. And that was a pretty decent tournament for the French and the Australian. Tomic got his life together and we got to the semifinal. That cute American boy, though we don't know if he's probably Magma, Mackenzie McDonald, he made it to the quarterfinal, so that was good on his part. But Gasquet, Gasquet decided he was going to win a tournament. And we had Stuttgart, where our boy came back and beat, the hater number one from Canada, Raonic. I was all about that. Very much.
I was all about the semis.
But definitely, yes, you're right. The match of the tournament was definitely Federer versus Kyrgios. And
good pairing. I need someone to write that / announcement. If
you know what
are interested in writing fan fiction,
can I propose a rule? I don't want any talk of this / fiction you people like to put out here because it's not okay. It's not okay. Okay.
Are you upset because this is not Pride? I thought we were celebrating Pride today.
I'm just saying, why do y'all keep interjecting? Why not write / fiction and put yourself in there?
Then that's just some weird silliness. That's not
it's
even very creative.
Silliness.
Yeah, it's not creative.
Janina is the voice of reason. Janina is the voice of reason.
It's not creative to put yourself in it. You're basically just writing. You're basically just writing fantasy for yourself. Then,
no,
of course, it's all weird.
Damn thing.
It's all weird, but you know what? It's actually really a creative endeavor. I really appreciate it.
Fan fiction?
Fan fiction, it's a fantastic endeavor. Because you know what it is? I'm going to make a bid for fan fiction. Sorry.
God, where is the sound effect? Where is the sound effect?
Listen, as a writer, you should support this. It's really a creative endeavor.
What I don't like about fanfic, I mean, like for sports people, it's whatever, right? But when you take like characters from book, whatever the case may be, and like they're not even dealing with the real issues, like people like Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy. Malfoy tried to poison his friend and kill him, but he's gonna be like, "Yeah, let me suck your dick now." Get the fuck out of here! That's just messy.
Oh, that's what happens in fan fiction.
Okay, we're gonna pause and deal with that later.
Okay.
What do you think was happening, Janina?
I don't read it because I think it's stupid.
Janina,
Okay, you know what? You stay
Janina,
at internet
do you
church.
know why, Janina?
Stay at internet church on Sunday, Janina.
Wait, I'm going to tell y'all something. One of our listeners now goes to the same internet church and he likes it. Booyah!
I mean, I don't.
Converting the masses, Janina. You are doing what the Lord asked you to do.
Doing God's work.
Exactly. We are so proud of you.
By
That's
the
why
end
we
of
have
this,
you here.
I'll have you converted to slash fiction. Wait, you know I'm good like that. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so Federer showed up last week, but didn't really show up this week. And I guess the match people wanted to talk about was the return of Andy Murray. I guess we could deal with that in a much more substantial manner. Yes. But we just had London, which just finished, and Cilic took out the wild card Novak Djokovic in the finals in 3 sets.
It's
and
so amazing that a wild card got to the final. I mean, what's the likelihood of that happening? And was very close to winning it. Wild cards, causing a ruckus.
I'll tell you, but we can't be having this kind of shit because wild cards stole that one Wimbledon from Tim Henman and Patrick Rafter. Everybody's crying about Tim Henman, but people ain't crying about Patrick Rafter. He's one of the best grass court player ever. And he is 2 US Open and not the thing that he really wanted. But anyway,
I know, and yet we have Goran Ivanisevic with one.
Exactly. Hey, Thomas Johansson has one, so why not? Why not? Goran put in his dues. At the very least, Goran was there many times. And in Halle, Federer got upended. He crashed his car in his own lane. He got messed up by Bona. He was messed up all week long.
Really?
Because, he was battling. It was a battle of the scrubs. He was battling Benoit. He was battling Matt Ebden. He was battling Dennis Kudla. I mean, these people barely get out of qualies. Generally. And Federer is here making a 3-course meal out of all these people. I mean, I'm sure, but the fans. I mean, the easiest match was against Bedeni.
You know what's so sad about y'all? You're a mess. Federer only went to 3 sets against Benoit Paire. And in the final, but every single time I read about an analysis of Federer,
7-6, 7-5, 7-6.
I know, but I mean, everyone is acting as if he battled enough to get it done in straight sets.
Did you watch the Dennis Kudla match?
I did. It was struggle.
I'll tell you what. If Dennis was making main tour more often, Dennis would have been in the finals. Trust me on that one. Dennis just got lost in the big points. He got lost on the big points. Sure.
But it's important for somebody like Federer, who can take their B game to a final. We know that this is the thing about the ATP Tour. We've established a B game from the top 4 guys is enough to sometimes get them to a final, and sometimes win. But and look, I mean, I missed the tie break, but it seems to me that Federer had chances of winning even this match in 2 sets.
Oh yeah, he definitely had type. He did have set points in the first type.
He had some major brain farts, made some major mistakes. He lost that match second set.
Let me just say, I mean, yes, it's true, right? I mean, the backhand motherfucker was slicing backhand. Like, leave that shit alone. Stop slicing.
Listen, he's got to practice the slice. He's got to practice the slice. He needs it on grass. It works on grass. If he gets it low enough, it's a good shot for him.
The problem is that he wasn't attacking. Well, Pona is fit as fuck, right? Fit as fuck. Pona was running around that forehand, and he was just like, backhand, bitch, backhand, backhand, bitch, backhand. And it really didn't help. That I don't know. Federer might be GOAT, but that field was definitely eaten by a goat. That is one of the worst court I've ever seen.
That grass court was taking some of the weirdest bounces I've ever seen. And like, they're both just looking at the balls like, what the fuck was that? And it
yesterday,
at some very unopportune times.
That Nino fan was going on about how Federer hit a ball, whatever.
The ball.
It's because of that same thing. Federer was right at the ball just dropped and didn't move. Just like, just like the ball died. Like, the ball died in the air. And Federer was pissed. And I was just like, I get it. But you know what? Federer's gonna do the same thing again like the next game. And he was just like, bitch, you lose a point. You will lose a fucking point if you try to hit that ball one more time. Because the umpire didn't even wait. The umpire didn't even talk to him. Just like, code violation, ball abuse, boom. Federer had to deal with it. I mean, that code is just that. I mean, this is, look at Queens. Look at the code. All baseliners there. Those codes don't even look chewed up like Halle. I don't know who the fuck made that code, but it was just like they just put dirt and just sprinkled on grass on top of it.
They went from beautiful to shit in a matter of a day. They really did.
Implementing Germany is shit. Just saying.
So what can we take away from let's talk about these. What can we take away from the Halle tournament for the finalists and anyone else in the field? I think go ahead.
Federer is looking good overall. I don't care if he played struggle tennis. He still made 2 finals in the 2 tournaments that he played. So good for him. I think he sets himself up nicely for Wimbledon. Got enough match play. Born a George. I hope he can take this momentum and keep it going because he looked damn good. He looked good. And you know what? We've been saying it for a long time. It's time for them young ones to step up and get some shit done. And we got it today. So good for him. I mean, I'm not mad. I was mad that I woke up.
I mean, I was okay with it. I mean, Bona is cute to look at, you know, but he's a nasty attitude. But you know what? He's good at candy. On a Pride Sunday, he's definitely good to look at. He was hitting all those points. And he was really feeling himself. And that's what I like
because I think it's really nice when you maintain the level that you, because I think when even Federer winning the second set, Borna had like a bit of a brain fart for that volley, right? But he didn't get down on himself and he competed really strong in the third set.
That was a court, not him. He was in the right place. It was the court.
So I mean, that was good. That's a good setup for somebody like that who can get down on himself and probably he probably thought that he should have won in Indian Wells. And so I think it's good follow up and good follow through for somebody like him to come back.
He managed his emotions well today.
Very much so. And I mean, it's trippy because afterwards, when you hear him talk about watching Federer on TV and playing him in a final in Halle, you have to think that this is a big moment. Listen, I'm pulling out of it from like a favorite's perspective and just looking at it in that way. You're playing someone that you used to watch on TV.
Yep.
And
when you were 12.
Yeah, and you're 21 years old. I know. First of all, mentioning it in the thank you speech. Damn, mofo, why are you trying to make Federer?
That's how you do it, boo. That's how you do it, boo.
He did it in a sweet way, but it's true. You know what I mean? And I think to be able to think, when I thought back about that, I was like, that's great. That's a great win for somebody that young.
Playing your fave and beating your fave.
Not your fave. He's not a fave. I think Federer's not his favorite player, but I just think to be able to say that
he's from Croatia. He gotta say that. He gotta say it.
But no, I mean, I think good on him. You know, that's what you want.
No one is asking Chilich to say that though.
Chilich has been around long enough that he doesn't have to behave that way.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. But no, I think it was really good. I mean, I think it's all positive from Borna about getting to that final and handling the moment well and taking Federer's 10th title from Halle. It looks good on him. Good on him. Good on him.
And I still don't get how people say Borna is like 6'1". I don't get it. Looks like 5'8" at best. I'm gonna have to go out with a tape measure because I'm still
isn't Dominic Thiem supposed to be 6'1" too? I think all these people are flubbing this 6'1".
Like 5 foot.
let's get a measuring tape of these 6'1".
I mean, yeah. I mean, we really need to go because honest to God, I think Goffin is bigger than Bona in my mind.
I know. Anyway, so that's good news. And what else?
I think he ain't care about the same size.
I know. It's a mess. These folks are being real generous with their weight and their height.
I don't care about the weight because you know what? If you see someone, you don't really consider the specific number, right? You just make that general determination. They're skinny. They're big bone. You know, that's how they're saying. You don't be like, he looks like 183 and a half. Yeah, you don't really think about the specific number, but I'm like, it's the height. I'm just like, girl, no, girl, you ain't that, okay? You ain't that. Maybe on a good day in some heels, but not at all.
singles.
But yeah, you're right, Andrina. I mean, I really do see, and it's good because for me it was just like, Federer shouldn't always be winning, and I want Federer to get 100. He's at 99 now, right? Or 98.
So 98.
And I was just like, Federer, what I enjoyed.
I got my faves about what I want 98 and what I want 99 and 100 to be honest.
You will be that girl. You would definitely be that fan to be like, I don't want it to be wasted in Halle. I want it to be.
I mean, it's okay.
I want everyone to see 99 and 100. I want everyone to see it.
No, respectable. But I think I didn't realize. I thought Sasha and Misha had withdrawn because it was clear to me that Sasha wasn't fully 100% to play singles. But I think they got the doubles final. So that's good on him. I thought for sure Sasha was injured. I
have no idea.
Yes.
Let me go and check right now.
Yeah, I think they're playing the doubles. Yeah, they made it to the doubles, and I think they're in the final. I think Sasha might have actually screwed himself by going by trying to prove that he could go.
They lost to Kubata and Melo.
Oh, okay.
But they did get to the finals. You're right.
Oh, they did. Okay, so
there was another final with Medvedev.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the final is there.
No,
Young people final.
So I guess maybe they lost the semis then. I
Who?
thought they had made it to the
No. Sasha and Misha won the doubles. They got to the finals and they lost to Kubat and Melo, number 1 seed, 7-6-6-4.
Okay.
But there was another final at the event, and Andrei Medvedev. Maybe there's a boys singles or something.
Oh, that's weird.
Because according to this is another thing.
Okay.
Yes, tired. I don't know what that's all about. I'm looking at it as well.
That's weird.
And Jamie Murray and Buenos Aires, who just became a daddy recently, I think, and Henri Continent and John Pierre. Oh, there's gonna be some drama on that court. Are playing the men's doubles finals right now, but we ain't concerned about that, right?
In Queens, I can't see it. I don't care. So okay, well that's good news. So what about Queens? What about Queens, y'all? What did y'all think of the tennis that showed up in that
Fever Tree?
The Fever Tree?
Yeah, that Nature Valley. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
No, Fever Tree is the men's one. Nature Valley is the women's.
Really, Fever Tree? I just said Fervor Tree. Thought that sounded much more elegant. I don't know.
Oh, Fervor, not Fever.
I don't know.
I'm guessing a tournament a sick tree.
It's a fever tree. They don't realize the connotation. They just think of it. It's a drink. It's a tonic, I think, because I think I had it with my gin and tonic when I was.
Oh yes. I did think about it. I was just like, really? That's what that is. But it is a drink. It's a beverage. Yeah.
It's a beverage. I mean, I think what you could do is you can call it Queen's Club sponsored by Fever Tree. Calling these tournaments by these weird names is just it's like Sims. Anyway.
Not at those prices. I just read a tweet that I was so hilarious. This person said, why is everyone calling a MacBook a MacBook? Why not just say my laptop? And someone replied, bitch, I paid $1,100 for this shit. I will be calling it a MacBook. Fuck you.
Same thing at Queens. I paid a lot of money for this tennis tournament.
Exactly. So I don't want to be the Queens Club sponsored by Fever Tree. No, this is Fever Tree shit. Okay, we own everything.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're not about this, partial credit and trying to hide off. No.
Anyway, let's stick to the tennis. So what happened in Queens that made you all think interesting things for Wimbledon?
Well, I was just like, I was like, Nick, this was your chance, but time to get that Murray win. But
did you hear what he said?
I know.
What did he say?
He basically said, when it looked like he maybe wasn't going to win, that he needed to make sure he won because he didn't have a win over Murray yet. And it was going to look really bad if he couldn't get one here on his return.
Good. I mean, he wasn't playing like he believed that.
Yeah, he had to get his head right and get that win. Like, he totally admitted it. I love it.
That's great. See, that's so
honest. I said that. I swear.
No, he was punking out. He was punking out in the match. Like, Murray was lucky to play a generous player like Nick. In terms of, when I say generous with the errors and generous with the lack of concentration. If he had encountered somebody who was going to force him to play uncomfortable shots, which Murray would have done, by the way, Murray would have done the same thing to a returning player who'd been like, what? You come back with back problems? Let me take care of this.
Right.
But Nick was, I think, he seemed really conflicted on the court.
I told you all, every time Nick plays Andy, he's like, this is my friend, Andy. It ain't that serious. And Andy is looking at Nick like, got you. I don't understand this because Nick has a game that is supposed to bother Andy.
I don't think so, though. I don't understand why you say that. It doesn't seem like.
Well, I think in terms of like, well, Nick shouldn't be. Nick, at the very least, Nick shouldn't be by Murray in this manner because he's barely winning. So, and interesting enough, but also it might be that they meet on big occasion. They've met in Grand Slam tournaments.
But that's what Nick likes.
You don't ever meet them on this is the first time they've met at like a regular tour event, like a 250, 500 event. They've always met at like 1,000. I think the 5 wins. 5 win, and he has 4 of them were at the majors, 1 at each tournament. So,
but your point doesn't hold out. Nick likes big moments.
But not when it comes to Andy, because then the big moment.
That's what I mean, though. But that's what you're saying. You're saying his game should match up with Andy's, but that doesn't make sense. How so?
No, I just think that Nick has in terms of he's an all-court player. He's he has the shots and whatever the case may be, and he's also like he's never when he plays like what's his name, Federer, and figures out the problems, right? He's there, he's in it, he's fully concentrated, he's fully dialed in, he isn't fucking around, right? He's taking in weaknesses. He's gonna let Murray get away with these 20 miles an hour serve over there and junk ball him to fuck it. So whatever, stupid errors. Though Andy's gonna junk ball him to dead, Nick, when he plays Rafa and when he plays Federer, he controls the match, he controls the point. While Murray's over there looking cute.
Well, he got himself together this time, and that's what matters.
So what did you think of Murray? What did you think? I honestly, I think is Murray now going to permanently have that weird walk that he does now?
Probably, because it was weird before.
Yeah, but now it's like that weird, like a duck walk,
I don't know. Murray just needs to get some match play. I mean,
I don't know. I think Murray needs to really assess whether he can really be effective on tour anymore and whether he's not pushing himself. He's eager to come back out and play even more. I just think because this is who Murray is, right? He should have been off the tour earlier than he did, but he shouldn't have showed up in Wimbledon last year.
And he shouldn't have shown up at the US Open.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have shown up at US Open.
More time off.
But I mean, he's not been. But this is not time off where he's actually really. Much of the time, he hasn't been able to do anything. He couldn't do anything. Yeah, this is not the same like Federer's time off, where Federer came back for Wimbledon, and he was just working within himself after Wimbledon in 2016.
Well, he has to start somewhere.
That is true, but I do think he's already had back surgery, and he's carrying a very serious hip injury. So I think he should rather try to take himself and come back slowly. But
well, he is. I guess he's going to come to. He's taking a wild card into Eastbourne, where he's going to open up his match.
I mean, he played 1 match. Ben. It's not like he. I think what he's doing is fine. I don't
really get why he played Queens though, because he could have played a tournament that would have allowed him to actually have many more matches,
like a challenger event. But he comes out of that.
He was slated to do one of those because that's what he wanted.
That he was better off than he is, and he probably didn't expect to have to play Kyrgios first up.
But that's what I mean. I mean, like, I think that, and right now he's going to have to play Stan first up again. So again, he's not
exactly.
going to have you know what I mean? He's not getting, like, I don't, like, to my mind, I think the best person who managed
from the jump. You're being put in big
scenarios.
Yeah,
you got to do like what Nishikori did. Nishikori just knew that he needed matches. He didn't need to win everything or title. He just needed matches. So in order to be out there and play competitive sets, you want to play against, I mean, they may not be who you would normally compete with day in and day out, but for him, it was supposed to be about being on the court and seeing whether he's going to be in pain and whether he can sort of
you're right. And those boys and the other players are definitely going to take the match very seriously.
Of course. And
even
get
if challenges exactly. So you're going to get some real and let's be fair, ATP has a lot of talented players.
Sure.
across the level. I mean, like day in day out, you could see people who you regularly see on tour, names you recognize in challenges. Yeah, so you are getting good, solid competition. You know, but I don't know.
But
My thing with Murray is that Murray is always like he's very like stubborn. You know, like yeah, I'm going to be doing. He's one of those people like who doesn't listen to his body at all.
I didn't seem like it.
He doesn't. I can control this. He thinks his body is like his mind, right? Like, you know, you can will yourself to boo your body. You don't have a Rafa body, okay? Because I just read some bullshit this week, you know, with the medical maladies of Rafa. Oh, Rafa sprained his ankle, twisted his ankle, but he got up and he's fine. Continued practice, didn't slow him down, but he's fine. So then he didn't twist his ankle then. That's not what that is. So, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't twist your ankle. So he twisted his ankle.
What did I tell you?
It was fine to continue practicing. Continue practicing.
The body always wins. The body always wins. Never ever count the body out. It always wins. So yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I think Andy really wants to play Wimbledon, and I feel really sad that I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping he gets enough information from the Stan match, but I feel like Stan has had a little bit more time and maybe is not a great opponent for him. But also Stan is trying to get information too. Both of them are trying to figure out whether they should go for Wimbledon or not.
And they definitely need the points. They definitely need so. And speaking of points, Federer is just 50 points behind Rafa.
I am so over this back and forth between him and Rafa.
I don't give a fuck.
Either.
But I think. But let's talk about Grigor, guys. Let's talk about Grigor.
What about him?
I feel like Grigor is I mean, what is he still working with like off of injuries? Although I think somebody made a really good point on my timeline, and I cannot remember his name, but it's Alex McPherson or something. And he made the real point, which we made, I think, last year. So that's why it's a good point, because I think we made it originally. Which is that the tournament was the field is a little bit weak in the top 10, which is why you had such nice runs by people like Grigor, right? And like a Jack Sock. And so what you're having them do is to sort of return to the mean this year, right? You can't keep expecting Grigor to replicate whatever he did to get to even the World Tour finals last year. And certainly the same thing for Jack Sock. What do you guys think about that? Think that's true?
Jack Sock and Grigor are not on the same level. They're not supposed to. They're on the same question, equation, nothing.
But they were both in the top 10 and they both got to the World Tour finals and they both had very nice runs to the World Tour finals.
Right, but I mean that was basically in this trend of like Paris, right?
But that's
so
the question is,
but I mean that is a fair assessment. But I mean, like I don't think we can compare Grigor to Sock. They're not on the same level because Grigor has far more.
Talking about each of them though, they both for themselves. Don't run them.
Oh, you mean like how they got last year that they pointed that they did? Well, yes, I mean that is understandable, and I mean like. I'm surprised someone hasn't snatched up more points here because
I know
you have a similar situation here, and there's never one time where Federer for all year Federer and Nadal have not been playing at the same time. There've never been a situation where both are on tour and playing, right? Other than the Australian Open, and
yeah, that's the last time they were together. Mm-hmm.
They were last time together, both actively on tour playing in tournaments, whether it's the same tournament or different ones. So I expected someone to really sort of like roll up and sort of like snatch something, because I mean
Delpo did.
Well, yes, Delpo did, but I mean, do you see Delpo doing something at Wimbledon? No.
I mean, I do, because I mean, I think we have to understand that the tour is so I mean, the tour is a little bit battered and bruised on the ATP side. So I can see Delpo similarly to what he did remember, he didn't play any clay, right? Or he played one clay tournament. So, and showed up and got to the semis. Semis, okay? I'm telling you.
So let's not count Delpo.
Well, he cried all the way, right? He tell everyone he was.
But I mean, but regardless of that, I'm just saying that Delpo got himself to the semis of Roland Garros when he was supposedly injured and things were problematic. So the fact that he took a break before any of the warm-ups for grass does not discount Delpo.
Right.
Oh, I see.
I would not
He'll
do
probably
that.
be more prepared than anyone.
Exactly. Similar to Rafa. Withdrawing from Queens actually suggests that Rafa wants to make a run for that title.
No, Rafa is practicing in Mallorca, which suggests that he's making a run at Wimbledon.
That's what I'm saying. So the withdrawal doesn't mean anything.
Right.
These people are gearing themselves up for that title. Yeah. No, come on. Let's not pretend those things are real. But I think that just tells you that those people are, and Delpo's playing Boondles or whatever the hell that tournament is. So I think these people are gearing up. But I think strangely enough, I think it's going to be the same people. I think it's going to be the usual suspects.
In the final, right? Yeah,
not in the final, but at least in making noise, right? It's gonna be the same, except for Tomas Berdych, who withdrew from Wimbledon today.
Oh,
he did?
Yes, that means with back injury. That means Tomas Berdych is probably out of the top. I mean, I think we might have a World Tour final without Tomas Berdych. But who's gonna take? Was
he even there last year?
Who's gonna take the selfie?
Jeez.
I know.
I just hope they pick him for Labour Cup because I mean, like he deserves to be a Labour Cup no matter what.
Janine is like, does it make you sad? It's a little bit changing of the guards. He's been there a long time.
He's been there for a really, really, really long time, and I really just love his legs.
But I mean, we have to pay attention. Tomas Berdych, David Ferrer, these constants. These are the they're moving up and out, y'all. So when people are reacting to Federer's play, I'm like, dude, this is a 36-year-old. You gotta pay attention to these things. I love it, believe me, I love it. But I am also not willing to start expecting.
I mean, the last glimpse we got of Pico was at the soccer.
Yeah. This is an aging men's tour. So so that, but I have to say, I think Djokovic is ripe to come back now. Janina, maybe your Djokovic theory is on point now.
He looks good.
He looks good, right?
He looks good. He looks healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he put on some weight.
Mm-hmm. Back on that bread, boo. Back on that bread.
Get on the bread.
I noticed today his legs look really, really muscular, more than normal, more cut, more defined. His legs are nothing that I've ever noticed about him as being nice. They looked really good today. I don't know. He just looks good. He looks like a human again, not like somebody who you're going to touch with a feather and they're going to fall over because they're so weak and fragile.
Yeah, fragile looking.
One thing I've noticed about him since his return, if we can call it a return, but yeah, he was away, right? He did pull out. He did end the season early last year, right? At some point.
He's been away.
But I have to say that he used to be in the past, like he used to be bothered by everything in the surrounding and yet find a way to deal with that and cycle through that energy and hatred. But now, if he looks flustered and bothered, he's flustered and bothered. Yeah, he stays in that.
Is that aging? Is that what aging does? You can't turn that shit down.
He comes
He's gonna be like grumbly old man like Federer.
But you know what? It's true. Like all of a sudden, like in the past, he just looked like like an asshole before, but now he just look like an old man. Like get off my lawn! Like fuck you! Like oh!
I like to call it the Spock effect. I like to call it the Spock effect. I don't know if you ever see the Star Trek in, but the whole notion that Spock had controlled his emotions, and then as a part of his aging process, his emotions started to get away with him, so he started leaking tears in a couple episodes. I think about that with Novak and Federer. I think they were two of the coolest people on court in that sense. Like they could dial themselves in and Federer without showing emotion, but Novak by using his emotions positively to get him over the top. But now they're both leaky messes.
Because today in this match, Federer looked like he was over that shit. After he lost that tie break, he was like, fuck this shit. I mean, like, whatever.
And that's when Federer retires. When Federer sits down in a match and goes, you know what the fuck am I doing out here?
Exactly. This is not that serious. Like, I'm going to be really killing myself over a church. Like, nah. Because like he was like, I'm telling you, if he could, I felt like if he could have ripped up that court, he would have ripped it right up and be like, this is shit. Like everywhere you go, so many bad bounces. Like he wasn't sure about any place he put that ball. Like it was gonna do what he knew it was supposed to do. And it wasn't even movement. And it was just one of those things like he was just like, oh, like typically you can't read
Nole
it.
was like that. Nole was like that sometimes. Nole used to be like fully dialed in. Now Nole looks like, I don't really care right now.
Exactly. Nole used to be like, I'm gonna kill you. No, just like, won't you just die? Like, why won't you die?
Like in this match, like I mean, Nole was fully dialed into this match until midway through the tiebreak when he two double falls out of nowhere.
And what I have to say though, what I have to say on the men's side is that they're picking this up. They're like, oh, okay.
Well, only recently though, because it takes the men a long time to
because they used to be the mess. They used to be the mess over there, right? It's just like, oh, I'm gonna get some free points. Let me just hold on, and free points will be coming.
These are leaky assholes right here.
I was surprised Pona didn't double fault at some point. I was just like,
he was like, this man's looking grumpy.
Exactly.
He's got to stay the course.
Federer kept being right there, and then just like wide. It's like, Federer, why don't the court is open, Federer, for the cross court? Like, why are we pushing it to Pona? Like,
that happened in
thank you very much.
Djokovic match. I mean, listen, Cilic tried very hard to lose the first set.
But he's another cool, calm customer, though. Cilic is a cool, calm customer.
He's learning.
In the past, he used to be that way. He used to be like, whatever.
But no, in the first set, guys, it was brutal. Cilic had so many break chances. He was always up like 30 in Novak's service game. There was just opportunities. I think he had like 6 break chances and then goes on to lose it promptly at the end when Novak had his round of break chances. So it was just like, I was like, man, that match would have been a stronger Cilic would have done that match in, and actually would have probably kind of exposed Novak a little bit, to be honest, because I think after Novak secured the first set, knowing that he wasn't playing the best, he sort of opened up his shoulders a little bit in the beginning of the second. And I felt like he was pretty dialed in and ready to take it. And then in the tie break, Novak was like, hello, leaky Novak. Here I go. Yep. I'm going to be emotionally overwhelmed in this moment. And it was over. So I think that I've been saying I think Novak's like 75% back. So
you think he's going to get back to where he was before?
You know what it is? I think it's all about opportunities, right? I think a solid Novak. I don't know if Novak will ever be where he was, but I think he can be at a level to be competing in slams and taking slams, particularly given the way the ATP is. Does that sound like a double compliment? Does that sound bad?
A double edge.
Yeah. But it is, you know what I mean? Like, he could dominate this tour.
Yeah, we'll see.
I could see him dominating this tour unless they don't let him. Unless they actually punish him.
Here's the thing, I'm not so sure because
why?
In the past he had dodgy science behind of him, and he believed like he could never lose.
Sure.
Like when he came out, he was very good with dealing with struggle tennis, right? That his struggle tennis was persistent and it was hard and he will be there. But no, you're guaranteed like some reckless errors when you think there are moments when, you know.
Yes,
his stands have Nole fam has not come up with any new statistics. No new statistics. There's just nothing for them to, because they recognize that he's not well. Something is not right in his camp. Well, they can't
come up with new statistics if he's not even playing. It's
winning titles, yeah.
They didn't need that before, though. They didn't.
But given the nature of the tour and the fact that Rafa and Fed, as Janina pointed out, are banding this thing back and forth, it suggests that there's an opening that somebody could exploit if that person's in a good position. And
They're healthy though.
And they're healthy. And Novak's the healthiest of the top 5, right? Or the former 5. No, Murray is nowhere near anything. I wouldn't expect anything major from Murray until next summer, if any. And then Stan, I'm gonna be nice and say Stan is nice. And then, you know, so I think Novak is a clear front runner. And I think, listen, if Delpo can't sneak a title out of this mofo,
but here's the thing: maybe the issue isn't that people can't sneak in; it's the fact that where they're sneaking in, where Federer and Nadal have dominated, have been big tournaments to get the big points.
Yeah.
Now you snatching a 500 and a 250 is cute, but I ain't winning the wars, getting up in the ranking.
Well, that's the question. That's the question. You know, I think
you have you have to win those big tournaments, and I think that's where maybe that's why we're not seeing someone sneaking in, right? We can see only like a Delpo, right? He made 2 finals in Miami.
He got that belief, yeah.
He got that belief, but you know, he isn't really helping his cause because he can't stick around. You know, he's inconsistent.
Nonetheless, as much of a Federer fan as I am, I don't really think that I find Federer's form very convincing. And dirt, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? It's a whole new ball of wax when it's 5 sets, and everything, you know, all things become equal. But I still think Djokovic is dangerous. I think Djokovic is definitely in a good enough position to get to week 2. I hope Andy plays 1 match at Wimbledon so the crowds can enjoy that.
Alrighty.
And I hope he doesn't place against Federer, because that would be ridiculous.
I hope, man. I hope.
Actually, what I'd love it to do is it'd be nice if they just give him to Delpo. If that was possible. What's Delpo's seating?
He would be seated.
I'd show up for a Delpo Andy Murray match where Delpo does his job of retiring people.
Will Murray be seeded?
I can't imagine he would be, right? What's his ranking?
You can never try to figure out what Wimbledon is.
I mean, well,
there is a system. There is a system. There is not an arbitrary system.
No, I know that's true. Andy could conceivably get some sort of seeding, I guess, right?
Yeah, if they want to.
I mean, because he does have points from last year.
Yeah, because he did make the semifinals, right?
Listen, on 1 leg. So this is what I'm telling you.
So I mean, yeah.
Anything's possible. Anyway, so does this mean that we
there's a Friday night is gonna be occupied because we have a podcast next Friday.
And no, but is Petra gonna actually do something at Wimbledon?
Girl, no. Let's not get ahead of ourselves ever again with Petra. Like ever.
I remember when Petra was gonna shake things up at Roland Garros and was not.
No, but you see, Petra already spent her good cash right there in Birmingham.
I don't know though. She usually does well. She comes from Birmingham, and
she likes Wimbledon.
Yeah, she likes Wimbledon. You know, it fits her.
But here's the thing: we know under WTA, women could do the job better than the men. They know we will help a sister out. We'll knock out this fave just for you, girl, to get you going. The men, they don't do that, you know. So I'm gonna say Petra 4th round. I'm gonna say 4th round for Petra.
Okay.
I don't see Petra winning Wimbledon
until we see the draw.
I know. I know your favorite Ashley Barty's gonna do. I think she actually, because her game translates so nicely on that surface, I can imagine it with a good draw.
Don't you dare speak it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm speaking it into being.
If you put that into existence, I assure you, and that happens, that chair will be empty.
Oh gosh. I don't know.
I won't be able to live down the shame of that. I won't be able to. But you're right. The draw will come out, and then you would see. But I just don't. Anyone but Maria Sharapova.
Maria. Oh, fuck a Maria.
Although I think it is interesting. I mean, she's just counting on the fact that she could just show up at Wimbledon and do well, huh? That's gonna be interesting to see. No pre-grass run-up tournament. That's
no. Does she ever play pre-grass?
I mean, but usually she's going deep enough in tournaments that you feel like you get a sense of her form. So hey, surprises can happen. She could show up at Wimbledon and, you know.
Well, if they don't catch me at tournaments, they can't make me pee in a cup. Just saying.
Nobody's paying
because we can always skip the outer competition thing, right? Be like, oh, sorry, can I reschedule for like maybe next weekend when I'm sure my pee is clean? But just saying. But in other news, when it comes to drug offenders, apparently it was a thing that people were like, Dan Evans should get a wild card into Wimbledon.
And he swiftly did not. So let's handle that just as
like people, why? I don't understand how this works. You know when people leave prison, they're on probation, right? They don't just walk out and be like, do whatever the fuck you want to do. You're free and whatever. No, there's still rules and consequences to their action. The society doesn't, so don't, and this is not even jail, but you cannot promote this kind of lifestyle and be like, yeah, last year you weren't here because you want drugs, you broke the rules, and then show up and be like, yeah. And why are we making distinction because this is not a performance enhancing drug?
They've been doing that distinction for a long time.
That's like
a big deal for folks.
You know what's about that though is a lot of people use cocaine to enhance things.
I know. So I'm just like, how do you know? Yeah, how do you know it's not performance enhancing in any way?
You know, it is a stimulant.
Yeah.
I make you feel invincible, you know, get all that thing going.
Don't call it a performance enhancing drug. I don't really get that. I mean, I don't know. I
don't get it either. I feel like they're like, oh, the research is out on that. I was like, I don't know, but there's $1 billion industry on what Sharapova was taking, and everybody's convinced it wasn't performance enhancing.
Oh, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
I don't get these
drug. You know, nothing is.
Well, I mean, it's doing something to your body. Whether it's enhancing you in a way that people can clearly tap into is open.
But here's the thing:
you're taking it, believing it is. So that's
you
really
can't question the rule when someone breaks it. Okay, this is not it. Whenever the rule, question the rule now when there's nothing going on. You understand what I'm saying? Don't just be like, "Oh, my fave got in trouble." Whatever the case may be. And can y'all stop trying to rehabilitate every white boy? They're like, oh my God, he's such a good kid, an amazing kid. Meanwhile, I literally watch you all talk about Nick giving Birmingham or Queens Club a little bit of entertainment and saying he's disrespectful for copying somebody else's serve. No, even if he was copying somebody else's serve, when the fuck else is he gonna try it but in a big competition? A match you think he could win? Where else would he try it out? Experimenting. Like seriously, you people gear up for the majors. I just think it's a little bit disrespectful. Like, why we even gotta go there? Like, what's that even about?
You know what?
Clutchy. It sounds so.
You know what's fucked up?
What is that? Who is he disrespecting? Disrespecting his opponent?
Nobody cares.
If his opponent was just.
Who the fuck cares? Why are you watching him so closely to go, oh my God, that looks like Federer's serve? Can we get
I know. It's so weird.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
And here's the thing. It's just like Monfils changed up his serve. So that serve you say you're copying from Monfils, that wasn't Monfils' original serve. Monfils has been trying to work on his serve. Like, I don't understand why people.
Wait, do people copyright serves? Is that why you can't?
Oh my God!
Is that a thing?
I mean, apparently so. Everyone's come up with their own.
Wait. Let's finish. So the Dan Evans thing, we could stop with the Dan Evans things because the only reason why we hear Dan Evans is because like British press people are overrepresented in tennis, and that's all they care about. That's the only reason why we even talked about Dan Evans.
How about we focus on Kyle Edmonds, who's actually playing the rules?
Like Kyle Edmonds, it's
focus
fine.
On Kyle.
He's fine, but I think Dan Evans.
He needs to be out in the sun a little bit more. But I mean, like
the Brits just wanted more people at Wimbledon. That's all.
But you don't.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Listen, they want
because here's the thing. Dan Evans.
Is he around?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
A cocaine head. He says shitty racist things. So you don't need to be promoting that, bro. Okay? Like, just leave it alone. He comes back. No man is barring him from tournament. He's eligible from going. He should go work his ass up and try to get in. Well, isn't that why you're trying to tell people of color all the time? Don't ask for a handout. Just do the job and work hard.
Well, the 2 wild cards went to, I think they were holding on to 2 wild cards that they released today, and it's going to Denis Kudla and Sergey Sakovsky. So Sergey's looking for Federer's ass in the second round again, I'm sure.
Yes, and I think Sergey just won a challenger a minute ago, if I'm not mistaken.
So good news for Sergey and Dennis. Both of y'all love Federer's ass. Come for it, I guess.
The hater squad. Yes, he just won the Aegean Italy trophy. So he's feeling himself.
Yeah.
So we had a little extra money. But I don't understand people though. But here we go. Any other news you want to talk about in tennis, you know?
I think that was that news. There are a couple of news items that we haven't touched on, but I don't know if we care. Federer.
I'm just gonna ask you ladies just right off the bat.
Wait,
do any of you have diplomatic immunity?
Why?
Just ask it, because apparently they can just.
But I don't know if is it on an African passport? Because that's.
Apparently.
We are not discussing that.
It's not news. We're gonna move on. Well, I mean, I think. What do you guys think about the news about this? We know that Wimbledon has its own seeding formula, which is mathematical. So Carol Bouchard, alert, optics doesn't matter when there's math involved, honey. I'm gonna call you honey because you're crazy. Anyway, So there's a seeding formula at Wimbledon on the ATP side. There is not one on the women's side.
Oh, there isn't?
No, they don't do one on the women's side. They do what they want to do there. I
thought there was one. I thought
there's not there's always a confusion about, oh my God, why doesn't Wimbledon do the same? No, the men's side clearly have a seeding formula. It is unclear on the women's side what that formula is. They tend to do whatever the hell they want. I think they don't use the same formula. At least it always comes up every year about seeding, and I believe the ATP negotiated a seeding formula, and the WTA did not. And so oftentimes what they do is they sometimes will go by the rankings with a little bit of option to make some changes.
Right.
Which is, I believe they did a few years back with Serena and Venus's ranking.
Yeah, I think when Venus won it in 2005, I think she was given a special seeding of 13th, I think, or something along those lines.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
So this is, but I think the news of the day yesterday was that the U.S. Open was going to be doing its own seeding in reaction to questions about whether women returning from pregnancy should have some sort of special pass, I guess. I'm not entirely certain how that's going to play out and what that even means. Do we have a better sense of it today?
No, we don't. And I think we just have to wait and see what they're not giving us any details about it. They're just saying that it's going to happen. So until we have details about what that looks like, I don't really know that we can discuss it without just speculating.
Fair enough. But I would just say, women, people, men, workers, y'all need to get clarity from the people who you work for. You are the company. And these things shouldn't come on a case-by-case basis. You should, because pregnancy isn't new, it isn't foreign, it isn't, and there are many instances, even on the men's side, where men have to miss work because have to work while their wife or partners are giving birth. So they should come up with a policy that's clear, because sometimes they need to be around. We heard from Sergey that that it's really tough being on the road, and he's missing his children, missing important moments in their young lives. And I'm not just saying this for every little bit. That's a reality for parents and whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying that we just imagine that supposedly because Federer makes a lot of trillions of dollars of money, that it's the same thing for everyone. It isn't. A lot of people are struggling on the ATP WTA, and they should be doing better, and they should come up with a much more clear, comprehensive plan, and shouldn't sit around and wait for the whimsy and the whims of Twitter to come to their aid, because Twitter is not a bargaining table. It's not, in particular when it comes to labor issues, because you will always get, quote unquote, both sides, and usually many of those sides are coming from an uninformed and uneducated perspective. So y'all need to sit down with your various boards and directors or whatever the case may be, and negotiate for better salaries, better times, and better, facilities. And apparently now, if we're sort of saying Stevie Johnson, is leaving the tour, taking some time off for mental health reason, and that's another issue that we just don't know how to deal with. Many times we're on tour, and we know they recommend you need to get psychiatric help in, but when it comes to Nick, but do they have like resources available for
And
players
about people how
policies getting breaks about those kind of things? So, and the tour is set up where you have to play, you have to be at work in order to generate, points and ranking and money. So I don't know, people. Y'all should really think about these things. I'm not saying unions is the way to go, but maybe you can copy some of the shit from the unions. Just saying, you don't have to call it a union.
Can I just, what I'm thinking about? Because I know people have been weighing in on the pregnancy thing and all this stuff, and pregnancy as punishment for women. I feel like all of that is just a lot of really heavy talk, but I'm really curious about whether this isn't just about a leave issue, right? So an injury is something that is an unintentional leave, right? That's not something you intend to do. So that you deal with that very separately. I know people are making parallels between pregnancy and injury, but a pregnancy in my mind is an actual choice, right? That's an active choice being made by the person. So that's an actual deliberate leave. So the question to me is, maybe there needs to be a sort of leave formula for people, regardless of what the reasons are. If it's pregnancy, that's another thing. But what if it is a mental health crisis? What if it's a sick family member? You know what I mean? Like, it feels to me that that's a more useful way of approaching this conversation than to have this kind of tedious argument about, are women being punished for being pregnant? I mean, it's just useless to me. So I'm like, isn't that in some sense what that distinction?
And you're only having this argument, this discussion, when it's one of your faves.
Oh, and that's fine, but Janina, sorry.
But there already is a place. There already is something in place. It's just that things aren't clear, and pregnancy doesn't fall into that category, because we do have, a player who gets injured and they're gone, they can come back with a protected ranking.
But that's fine, but that's unintentional. Unintentional. And injury is unintentional.
I don't know that
pregnancy is a choice.
Pregnancy is always intentional.
But even if it isn't,
once you get pregnant, you don't always get pregnant on purpose.
I know, I get
that. But it's a choice.
But it's a choice. But it's a choice, and you have to respect the people who choose to be on tour who are not pregnant. And injury is an unintentional act on either side, right? Regardless of whether you choose. So it's like, to my mind, I think that's a real thing for people. Listen, in the work world, there are people who get pregnant, and I don't think they should lose their jobs. But then there are other people who choose not to get pregnant so that they can continue to stay and work in the world. I'm not saying
because
that a work
get punished. I mean, I'm working with a woman right now who just got a promotion, and she literally found out within days that she was pregnant. She doesn't want anybody to know, because that's going to be a problem. Oh, are you going to be sick? Are you going to miss work? Or, what
I mean, I don't want anybody to get punished for those things. But what I'm talking about is, how do you create an environment that respects the choices of everyone who's participating in that work environment? Because there are people who are choosing to go on pregnancy leave, and there are people who are choosing not to have children. The question is, how do you make that environment fair for both parties, right? So that both parties feel like their choices are respected. Because I think that's the question posed, right? The question is posed as, oh, well, if you get pregnant and leave the tour, you shouldn't be punished. You should be able to come back to the tour and have some seating clarity about where you're going to be placed. Is your ranking protected? All of those kinds of questions can be answered. But at the same time, for the person who achieved good things while you were away, they shouldn't be punished either.
No, but I don't know. It's also separate yet not.
It is. I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
How is it dealt with
is where it's different. Like, I think that if you are pregnant, you cannot be on tour, right? You cannot, or up to a point at least. And then, but also, if you're going through a mental health crisis, you probably cannot be on tour also, because you're going to take that time. So it seems to me that this is also a larger question about leave. Like, how do you let people leave?
But my question is,
without
what happens right now if Rafa doesn't play for whatever, and he wants to come back at a tournament and utilize that protective ranking?
But did he leave because of injury though?
They make a distinction.
Yes,
people make a distinction. If you're injured, then there's a pathway for you.
I want to know how that works. That's what I'm asking, but you guys are asking.
No, I'm not saying we're not letting you ask it, Janina. You just established that already exists. There's one for injury.
What I'm asking is, how does it work? There is already a system in place. We know that players can use a protected ranking, but
for a certain number of tournaments.
For a certain number of tournaments and for injury withdrawal, right? That's what we're saying. It's just for injuries.
What happens to the person who, when Rafa went away, he was ranked 1. What happens to number 1 when they're both in the same tournament? What happens then? That's my question.
I mean, Rafa is there's room for Rafa to come back and have his protected ranking there, as well as the person who's improved. What does that really
mean, though? Does that just allow him entry without playing?
No, it allows him. It allows him entry with his ranking, right? Because
you said people who did work while the injured person is away shouldn't be.
That's the perception.
No one is being in this case in tennis.
Wait. What happens when they come back and they use their protected ranking and you have 2 number 1s theoretically? Tell me what happens. That's what I don't know what happens.
What happens is that they're treated, it has happened before, they're treated like the number 1 and 2 seed. One goes to the top and one goes to the bottom.
How do they decide that? Who gets what?
Well, it could be, it doesn't matter because you're just on opposite ends of the thing. They can't put you in the same place because 2 of you now got, that's how it's treated. It's as if you're the top 2 seeds anyway. It's like 2 people tying for first place.
You don't really lose. You don't really lose
you don't lose anything.
If there was a number 1, right? You don't lose. You just maybe drop to number 2, but you're still both on the second side of on opposite side of the draw. You didn't lose anything.
So I guess they don't really solve it.
Not really, right?
Okay.
It's like
what happens, but I think on the back end of it, someone is not getting in.
On the other,
someone at the very end, on the lower level,
right? Someone has to lose.
Someone, if there were 32 seeds and somebody comes back with their protected ranking, that 32nd person is no longer seeded and may have to play number 1, round 1. That's ultimately what happens, correct?
Right. Something else. What also happened is that person who thought he got direct entry in is no longer directly into the tournament. He might have to play qualies now. But these are things. But here's the thing: you lose some, you win some, because that option is available for you in case you want a timeout. So I don't always think it can't always be that we all win. But here's the thing:
in here, because if you ever call pregnancy an injury and you put it under that umbrella, then people will be shamed.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be. I think it should be. I think there are lots of other spaces where you have, I mean, in other jobs, there are pregnancy leave time, and then there's also other leave that you negotiate. People are not thinking about tennis as a career choice. Well, but just like other jobs, they make those distinctions. Their pregnancy leave.
We've never seen this many babies on tour.
Yeah, sure. So it has to be dealt with.
The other thing, people used to retire earlier.
In tennis,
people used to retire earlier.
Yeah, people weren't playing.
Retire early. You finish tennis at 28.
Yeah, they weren't playing this long, so it wasn't happening. So it is a new issue. And I think ultimately what it comes down to, they don't know what to do, and they're afraid to put it with the same rules, even if they call it something different. If they handle it the same way they handle protected rankings with an injury, then people are going to be in an uproar, even if they call it something different.
This is why I always say, faves don't read. So read and talk to experts on this matter, and have like some kind of fact-finding mission. Like we don't have to sit here and solve the problem in and of ourselves.
No, but I think what Janina and I are trying to get at is really more about how you talk about these things out loud. Is that we've got to just be really careful about recognizing the parallels between this and other spaces and other industries. This is a workspace, but one of the things that happens in tennis, I think, is there's a lot of hyperbole. when we're talking about things that are actually really quite serious, right? And they're labor issues. And so what ends up happening is the sort of like headline leads with these like women are being punished for being pregnant, or pregnancy is not an injury. I mean, it's just like all these kind of really strange things come out, and you're like, well, what can we talk seriously though about what category this should be in? How should we characterize it? And then have like a long sort of form conversation in that way, as opposed to this kind of strange, like, I don't know, like casually tossed out sort of term. And then you click on the link to read the article and you realize it's just like conjecture, and nobody's really making a statement about labor. Nobody's making a statement about, you know, whether what should be called an injury, what the special time should be. And then also you just raised this issue about mental health issues. Like, what if someone really needs to take a break from work because of a mental health issue? What should happen to their ranking then? You know what I mean? What are the categories? How do you define that then? So it's just, I'm always curious about this.
I'm really curious as to why it's such a struggle to even have the conversation. And, you know, because it's not like
because of what you just said, because people who didn't do anything and worked hard while the person taking the leave in some aspect gets punished when they come back. So that that has to be part of the conversation. And how do you handle that? Because
how do you say it without sounding like a bitch?
But see, we talked about this a little bit privately, and until we get the details of how this is going to work at the US Open, with I mean, because honestly, we're talking about Serena. We didn't have this with Azarenka. Nobody cared enough to have this conversation with her. The way that, from where I sit right now, this isn't about Serena. This isn't about where she's seated.
No.
Serena is Serena. She'll play whoever she has to play.
That doesn't matter. Yeah.
Win. This is about, do we want matchups that we shouldn't have until the second week in the first week? This is, I mean,
for the tournament, that's what it is, though, Janina. Yes, but what we're talking about is it's beyond that.
It's beyond, because I mean, there are issues here that because the tournament is doing a PR program, right? But there are real HR issues here.
Frame this as a let's figure out a solution for women who have babies on tour, but really we have to make this work out best in our benefit. That's for sure. Is happening.
I mean, but I think that's why, and I think that's your response to your issue about why don't they cover it in a certain way, right? Because realistically, the tournament can only pay attention to this in terms of seeding and how it's going to play out in the draw. That's as much, and their box office. That's as much insight as they have about this issue. But the reality is, this is a bigger and deeper and larger issue around how do you let
the WTA has been silent on this.
No, I think they've been trying, but I'm just saying, I don't think the WTA has actually been silent about it. I think they've been trying to offer some kind of analysis about this. But I just don't think that people who cover the sport want that analysis. They want the seeding conversation to take the lead. They want the conversation about, I don't want this person playing in the draw. That's what they've been leading with.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's an easier conversation to have.
Easy way out. Yeah. Well, if you have a baby, you know, you have X amount of months or a year. I mean, because it's just going to, no matter what they do, it's just going to create a whole nother issue. This isn't something that can be solved. When you have an injury and someone has a surgery, no matter what it is, a physician can tell you that you're going to need X amount of time to be healed. And it may not always go that way, but it's not going to be too far off. When you have a baby, you can't ever tell somebody when they're going to be ready to go back to work. You can't. Mm-hmm. It's different. It's a whole different ballgame. And I think it's a different ballgame if you're dealing with a mental health issue. If it's a mental health issue and someone is depressed or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, we're
although, you know what, actually, I just want to say, I'm taking a look at some of the notes around protection, entry protection, and actually you can use medical, well, actually it says a documental medical illness. It doesn't say anything about mental illness, but you can also use that as a part of your special protection or as part of like an injured.
But what I was going to say is if you're dealing with a mental health issue, you're not going to get a time frame. There is no time
That's
frame.
True.
So, you know, someone may get, I mean, that's just the reality of it though. You may go to a therapist, you may say initially we're going to go for 10 sessions and reevaluate. We may go for 3 and reevaluate. You don't get a time frame. You're never, ever, ever going to walk into a psychologist or a psychiatrist's office and they're going to tell you that you're going to be better in 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. That will never happen. But if you have a broken arm, we know that it's going to be healed in 6 to 8 weeks. So that's why I'm saying you can't. I think it seems like people want it to be like, this is the leave policy. Here it is, and this is how it works. But it does have to all be separate.
That's what I think it does. And I think that then you have to negotiate it similarly to how you would negotiate it if you had a job out in the world, right? If they give you a 6-month leave period that you have to play with, which is what you have on every other in your jobs, you actually get leave time, right? It's part of your contract, and you have to determine as a person how you're going to use that. Like, are you going to take all 6 months at the same time? Which means that if something comes down the pike, you might have nothing. Right, because that's just how it is. That's how it plays out. I don't know how when I think when the tours are negotiating these things, I think the women need to think about a 9-month plus 12-month plus 15-month leave period needs to be with around pregnancy. Like, what's a reasonable amount of time for you to put in as a pregnancy leave time, right? It includes the time of pregnancy and any unanticipated anticipated things that come after. And that needs to be negotiated, right? And set down in stone in some ways. Otherwise, you leave yourself with no protection. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes this sort of arbitrary conversation about, because I don't have a side on this, but my take on it at this point in time is that I just feel like the conversation is just not very nuanced and helpful.
And informed. And you're
helpful. Right. And helpful, because it's like, I want these things to be part of the conversation as opposed to the tournament leading the charge in the conversation, when I really know that all they're caring about is, I don't want this person to face this seed in the first week.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I think when I looked up the notes, it says that the protected ranking gives you the option to enter the tournament and the right to enter the tournament, but it doesn't enter you into a seeding conversation.
Okay.
Your ranking is protected, so you end up in the tournament, so you're guaranteed. So if your protected ranking was 12 and 12 seeds mean that you should be in the tournament, then you're going to be in it, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the 12th seed.
Okay,
that makes sense, because usually in my scoring app, there is always a PR next to the player and not a seeded. It's protected ranking.
Yeah. So I think that it just guarantees your presence in the tournament. And so that's good. So in some ways it's helpful that, whatever your rank, maybe this didn't come up for Azarenka because when she went away, her ranking was not quite, but I don't know why it never came up. I think the reason why it never came up was because nobody cared what Azarenka landed in the in the draw.
It wasn't important enough. That doesn't sound nice, and it doesn't sound.
But that didn't make sense, because when she left the tour with pregnancy, she was on top of the game.
It doesn't matter.
She had won those 2 tournaments, right? But nobody really thought about it as a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
right.
It's true. That's really what it comes down to. But you know what it is? All this is to say, to be honest, is that I wish we got as much coverage about the women who are on their council as we did about the men who are on their council. It's a part of the regular coverage that we get on the ATP side, and I don't see that similarly on the women's side, because I think the women are, but I actually think the women are probably always talking about these things, but it really doesn't get covered. They
don't talk about it in public, rather.
It doesn't come up publicly. And so we never know that this is an ongoing conversation unless you're like a real dieharder and you're probably checking minutes or something like that. But it's not a part of, like, for the longest time, I had to go and check who's on the women's, who's part of the women's leadership. When on the ATP side, they talk about it pretty openly.
All the time.
They say the person's name and they say that person's on the Players' Council. Yep. I did not know for years that Sam Stosur was on hers. I was like,
listen, I didn't know they had one. I'm serious.
I know.
You don't hear about it.
You don't hear about it.
The men in a presser after a match.
As a representative on the Players Council, can you
Well,
talk
I
to
mean,
me
like, I
about
don't.
this? They do say that. They will say that in a presser.
I find that, but you know, maybe it might have something to, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think it's like how how men relate to women and women relate.
I think it's by design. I think women are positioned not to be seen as leaders, and so.
But right,
when you
that's what I
ask the
mean. Like how we
question-
social, right? We don't.
You know
we
what I
don't
mean? Like we should know that Sam Stosur's ideas or opinions, or not now, because I don't think she's on the council anymore. But you know, the idea is that we're supposed to take certain people's position, their opinions, I mean, more seriously than other players, right? Which is why they give you the context of president of the Players Council or what have you. They make you aware of that. So when that person speaks, it has weight. They don't do the same thing when women speak. Except if they're like Serena or Venus. But then we knew Venus was on the council. But you know what I mean? So it's like they should say, like, there are lots of players who I did not know were on the council that when they speak, but then again, they're never asked these things in their pressers. So, but you know, things are coming up all the time. And so to me, it would make things more interesting and more useful in the long term if when somebody's on their own council that I know that when this person's saying it or speaking in a presser, they might be coming with more weight behind their words. They might be representing the union, not the union. They might be representing the players more. Because that's why Djokovic's comments and that's why all the other male players' comments are taken in a certain light, because people think that is representing also the council.
Well, maybe it might be the other thing that the people who are on the council on the men's side are usually big players, winning players.
So are the women. So are women.
Yeah, really? Like
yeah. I mean, Stosur. Listen, Venus has been a constant on the council for a long time. Sam Stosur, she's been around a long time. So it doesn't matter whether they're a top player or not. Sergey's been on the council for a long time. So we know that when Sergey says things, we know that it carries some weight in terms of content, right? So, and you remember, they also have players that are supposed to represent ranks, right? But I think Lucy Safarova was on it. I mean, when's the last time you asked her opinion on anything? You know what I mean? It's just like, if these people are really the leaders, then why don't we question them in pressers with that in mind and let them be the voice, similar to the way we let the men be the voice.
Women, I think you mentioned also to go on to, you know, consult outside, you know, entities.
Well, I'm sure they do, but they don't talk about that.
But like Andreen said, it doesn't get covered. We know come Wimbledon that the ATP is going to vote.
Yeah.
When does the WTA vote? When do they meet? We know that, you know, we know when the men meet. We know when they have their meetings. We know when they elect their council people. We don't know any of this. They don't cover that on TV. You better believe come Wimbledon, you're going to hear the commentators talking about the ATP Players Council. It will happen. But we don't get that for the women. You won't hear of that at all.
Yeah, I'm like, it's so funny, right?
Because well, maybe the women are having trouble seeing themselves. So maybe that's
I don't think
it's that. If the coverage isn't there, then people don't even know to ask the questions.
Exactly.
That's what we're saying. If we don't even know who they are, there's a definite bias there. We know that you little boy go away. We know that Novak Djokovic is president right now. Who is the president of the Women's Council? Who is it?
I'm gonna take a guess and say. I looked it up recently.
But why do we know? But see, that's my point. Why do we know that Novak is though? Because we see it everywhere.
It's part of the story.
It's talked about it all the time. It's talked.
I'm gonna say Sevastova because I just think that might be cool.
But it's talked about by players. It's talked about by commentators on, you know, the networks. I mean, it's out there. Nobody talks about this.
Okay, so I just tried to Google, just as a perfect example. I just tried to Google now. This is a story from September 2017. So one would assume that it's probably a 2-year term, right? So we know that Azarenka is supposed to be on it, which we do know because she has commented recently. Venus is on it. Joanna Konta and Sam Stosur. Lucy is supposed to represent players in the top 50. Julia Bosarup is supposed to represent the top 100, and Marina Irakovic is supposed to represent a players council, but she doesn't have the right to vote. So like that was September 2017. I think that's probably a 2-year thing. But one of the things that's so interesting is given the fact that Joanna Conte is supposed to be there, even the way the British cover her, they don't mention her. Sam Stosur, it's not mentioned. Like that's a part of holding that position strongly when you say it. Venus Williams, player council president. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right, but it goes back to part of what you say. It goes back to part of what you say when it comes to women in leadership position and in public, right? How we talk about women in power, or women in decision making position. We sort of like in general.
Weird. Like how do you like?
But I do think
talking about it.
But I do find it's the kind of thing that I find rather interesting when you have like a women's tennis association, right? It's not like in most sports there are no distinction in gender when it comes to the sporting body, right? Like well, I guess like in golf and WNBA, I guess, but there's sort of like a branch, whatever the case may be. And these women, but they're much more, they advocate for themselves though. WNBA, these women are always out there talking. They don't need someone to ask them a question. They put it out there themselves. So maybe the WTA need to do something like in that fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a lot of the reasons why you would suspect, which is the usual sexism element. But I think part of it is also coverage. Like I don't necessarily the ATPA that is something I think
it should also be addressing. But here, you're not asking me my opinion because I'm a woman. But here, since you're here, I got something to tell you. Because honestly, for me, why don't they just stop answering these stupid ass questions they ask every single time and say, you know what?
No, because you know how that gets covered. Venus doesn't answer questions and people characterize her as a certain way. You know that's not allowed. You have to play ball. But what I'm saying is there are elements of it that are allowed, and you can characterize certain players as leaders on the tour instead of the ones that people are trying to force. Like people are forcing Simona to be a leader, but Simona ain't no leader. She doesn't even hold that position within the council, right? So that's what I'm saying. So why don't you
invite her dodgy ass to the party?
I mean, that's fine, right? But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, she's actually not an acknowledged leader in the traditional language, right? So why even try to view that with it? Because we actually end up using the ATP tour as the guide, and because the top 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side ends up being perceived and taking on leadership roles. But I think on the women's side, I don't think rank is what determines that. And I think we've been projecting that onto Simona. That's a perfect example, right? She's the number 1 player. She should be blah, 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 blah. But the reality is they have acknowledged leaders already. We just don't have them referred to often, and they don't say who they are. And so we never get a chance to, we don't see it. Like it's so funny. I'm on the site and I'm looking at player development. I'm looking at board of directors. I'm looking at official partners. I'm looking at management team, and there's no slot underneath any part of it to list the player council. And
so it's an internal issue and they need to fix it.
But it's an internal issue that also gets reflected out, I think.
Oh,
but I'm just saying they can't even fix their tournament ranking, and we expect them to fix this situation. I'm just saying, like they don't get the little things right.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at the management team, and it's nice to see that there's so many women, and it would be really interesting if you know what I don't think exists in this world? Black women. But anyway,
You got Katrina though.
No, I'm looking at the management team, and then I'm looking at the board of directors, and there are no persons of color anywhere.
Tennis, dear.
I'm just saying. Anywho, but not that you need to just stick a person of color there just because. But
yeah, you do.
Help. You think?
Even just for optics alone.
You need different voices.
Oh, Janina, you think that would just be good for optics? Optics.
You got to start somewhere.
No, I get it. But I guess that one is it. I think. What do you guys think? We can end on a fun note. What do you guys think about them charging Nick Kyrgios £15,000 for wanking a ball? Wanking a
the water bottle.
The water bottle.
He got a fine for that?
They fined him £15,000.
What was the crime?
The crime. Remember when you see the image of Nick Kyrgios?
Video. What did they call it?
I don't know. Let me see. I saw.
Seriously.
Are you
really? No.
Yeah, they fined him 15,000 pounds. Yeah, it was reported this morning. I retweeted it. Let me see if I can find the
and link. They didn't even charge that stupid girl that tree. What's her name? Pliskova.
The one who beat up the Empire chair. What was it? $5,000? Something like that? 3,000?
Was it 15,000 or 1,500?
Yeah, it was something very. Yeah, it was actually like.
No, for Kyrgios, what was it?
Was it 15,000? You sure it's 15,000?
Let me look. Let me find it for you because you all are not paying attention. Yes, it was. No, Nick Kyrgios fined 15,000. Sorry, it was 15,000 euros, which is 13,190 for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Whatever. I'm not. Nope.
No. These things are egregious. I mean, like, no, these people are just silly. I mean, and it's time that we really address this shit because this is just blatant. Like, who the fuck gets charged $13,000-$15,000 out here and told for doing something? Who gets charged? Let me see some outrageous shit.
They didn't charge. Dumbest thing ever.
But look, Ben's,
he's getting charged more for a lewd gesture. This is incredible to me. Than that girl who went and smashed up these people.
Jack Sock was one recently about almost breaking a window in the nearby houses while playing tennis, and he said something to the umpire to the effect like, I'm the not because you knew hair and some bullshit like that. I mean. The fuck?
I think people need to understand that really what's playing out is these weird ideas in their head. And I think if they just can let their biases come out, they would understand why it is that they feel the need to find somebody for this. And I miss me with the protect the children bullshit.
And in this manner, because I mean, if it's a lewd comment, if it's a lewd behavior, then they need to charge all the motherfuckers out there who saying fuck every minute.
It's dumb.
Every minute.
It's the dumbest thing. And you know what's so sad about it? What's so interesting about it is that only got coverage because somebody cut that image and then ran it on Twitter. So it's not something that somebody picked up closely enough who was watching it on TV. This was somebody who edited footage and put it out there. And then that is how you are, which is, I mean, that's something that you even consider. That's weird because it's not even something that you could have attended to in real time. So all the people who are talking about, we've got to protect the kids. Well, I don't know why your kids are watching like a little mini video on real time. That's how they're catching it. They're not catching it in a real match. So yeah, so that he was fined £13,000.
Let me just say, as someone who is working at a place where, I am being unfavorably treated, even though I show up to work and do the job and do an excellent job. Mm-hmm. That thing is exhausting. And I don't know how Nick isn't always my favorite person and whatever the case may be. I do have criticism for Nick, but this kind of stupidity.
They create hostile work environment for him.
Exactly. Every single time Nick has to face some sort of a disciplinary action, the punishment is egregious and over judicious. I mean, £15,000, £13,000. Are you fucking kidding me?
And if you think about what Pliskova was fined for actually attacking and beating
Murray, Andy Murray hit a ball at an umpire. He literally the umpire.
Weird. I think these are weird.
And nothing happened. I mean, come on now. I mean, like, it's one thing if you want to be like, but these, I mean, like, what are you doing to this kid? Like, what is your point? Y'all literally told him to get psychiatric help. The rude and absurd behavior of that kind of, and you don't say this to anyone else. Meanwhile, Stevie Johnson is out there begging for help. You're not even offering him shit. I mean, come on now. This is just really disgusting and blatant. And I think fandom, if y'all want to do something, this is something y'all should be up in arms about.
I mean, it's not.
But then y'all know it won't happen, right? Because there's only one person like Nick, right? Ain't too many looking like him, and your favorite 9 out of 10 times is a white guy, and he ain't gonna be facing this kind of shit.
It's just dumb. It's a dumb thing.
I mean, these organizations, I mean, but you see, tennis can't come together in any way because, you know, they're under different rules. But this looks like a labor case for me. This is some bullshit.
That's some bullshit.
Same thing like what's the name that Heather Watson. Heather Watson ain't got no money, but y'all fucking charge her like nearly $80,000. Some crazy amount because she hit the grass. This thing that she's stomping on all day long. She hit the grass with her racket.
Don't walk on it.
This amount. Like, what the hell is that?
This is the world that we live in.
It's just dumb. It's exhausting.
It's not okay.
They're creating like a hostile space in their interest in creating this image of the sport that is non-existent. But like I said, tennis, you guys keep focusing on the irrelevant stuff, and I'm sure the real dark stuff is just right under your nose.
That's right.
And it will soon come out.
And when the reckoning comes, and it will, because every sport has had their reckoning, I'm going to see a lot of pearl clutchers. So anyway, but yeah, I just thought that was the weirdest thing I saw this morning. So
I thought you said something on a fun note.
Yeah, you said fun. That ain't fun. I mean, that's as bad as somebody fucking calling the police on the little girl selling water.
Girl, Permit Patty. Permit Patty said.
Permit Patty gave Nick a violation.
Permit Patty said she wasn't really calling the cops. It was
Anyway, I think we need to figure out who called the cops on Nick this time around. Somebody, people need to be careful of what they cut together for Nick, because people apparently just go through that stuff and decide to give out fines.
This kid has been trying to make your food fun and exciting and draw new people in. And every fucking time, these old white people just keep coming up in his face, and it's old white people. It is.
I don't know about that.
Show me receipt that is not older white people and white people carrying on like this.
Listen,
I don't understand.
That's going to be hard to say because everyone is old.
Just cut it out.
That owns anything in this business. So, but anyway,
but my thing is just like, this is so unnecessary. Nothing. Meanwhile, y'all have people out there touching each other's balls, trainer coming out there and inappropriate. People make these inappropriate videos all the time. It's there to see. Am I wrong? Are we gonna find the trainer and the player? Oh, he look like he's fisting you right now. Like, I mean, it happens all the time.
Oh, look at his eyes closed. It feels good. Yeah.
Exactly. Come on now. I mean, like.
Oh my god! I think anyway, it's kind of funny.
This was supposed to be a quick hit, 40 minutes, and this way when you ladies say that, I don't say a word. I'm just be like, yeah, because y'all are the ones always talking and going on. But
I don't know. I think Janina was trying to talk, and we didn't let her. So
pretty much.
She ain't well. She's not well. She's not well.
She got a lot of really thoughtful things to say about the women's conversation. I appreciate
That's nice. But it would help if we could see them more so we can find out. Maybe it just might be that they're saying these things and we just can't see them. So there is that.
Right.
There is that.
There is that. You're right.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that these women are having all these thoughtful conversations and the reporters are saying who they are and what they're on the Players Council, but unfortunately, we just can't see it because we don't know where they are. So, ladies, use your Twitter account and let us know where you are so we can pop up and see you and hear what you got to say, because we are really, really, really interested. But anyway, I'm going to end this podcast right now, and happy Pride to everyone and people who feel like they're not, like you can come out, you can be anything you want to. And we're happy that you're out there in the world.
Anything you want to be.
Except racist. You can be quiet. If you're racist and homophobic and all that ism, you can be quiet. You can just be quiet and be cute. I saw a t-shirt saying something along those lines. Like, why be racist, homophobic, and transphobic when you can just be quiet? I'm just like, excellent.
I think that's
excellent.
That's a good point. So the next time you hear from us, it will be our live show. For the
and Janina is feeling well, so that she can come up with a new theme, because Reels don't do that. He don't come up with themes.
We have some
it's
ideas.
Already set.
We have some ideas.
Yeah.
Let me find out. Where was I? But
so
thank you, folks.
Join us next Friday.
Yes, at the usual bat time of 9:30. I hope you enjoy our podcast. I know you missed us. We're happy Federer is back on grass. He played the ass today this week, but you know what? He's still our faves, and we will take it, whatever. We are at peace with anything Federer give us once he's on court. And we enjoy what's even so much more is that Federer lose, and he gave Nole fam that energy to think Nole gonna win, and then Nole lost. So that's even extra solid. Boom.
Boom, boom. These two old dudes
losing, he's winning. Even when Federer is losing, he's winning. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry that Federer lost. That's my favorite.
Switzerland beat Serbia in World Cup, and I'm just saying, excellent.
Yeah. Guess what? I think. But you see, Kay is such a good loser. The Japanese lost today.
Senegal win them 3-2.
No, it was a tie.
So does that matter?
Yes.
Yes, they got a point.
I thought it was 2-1. I thought Senegal.
And then they scored another goal.
And then I blighted.
Look at that. Janina knows scores better than she does know WTA matches. I love it. Totally. But you know what the difference is? One's on TV and one's
on TV.
No, it's not just on TV. Easily to find. Easy to find. Everywhere. People give directions. People say we have it.
Can we just do a little side on that, guys? They are so good about this. Like, I opened up my Twitter feed and I didn't say I wanted to follow soccer, but they thought I cared. So they put it, they put like a subset on my Twitter feed about it. Right, I need tennis to do that.
It's there for you.
Unavoidable. It was everywhere.
There for you.
So when you talk about viewership, one of the biggest ways to get views is simply to make it in my face.
Tell us about it. Don't keep it a secret, okay? Tell us. Give us direction.
Hide and go find the WTA.
Exactly.
Because you need to be a real fan. And
don't create some kind of alternative universe and, keep us in suspense and say, trust me, when the World Cup, Fox was like, we're on it. NBC got promo for Japan. For Tokyo, and we 2 years out for the Summer Games. 2 fucking years, and they're ready. They are so ready for that. So get on that, people. Get on that. And ESPN, apparently ESPN is creating some of the new package, some of the new place so they can hide more matches. Good luck with that. Then y'all gonna be wondering why Wimbledon viewership is down. Y'all wonder why this shit is down.
It's gonna be because it's on the same time as the fucking soccer. The Wimbledon final and the World Cup final is going to be airing at the same time.
Really?
You guys better play. They have two countries in the Wimbledon final that people care about. Otherwise, good luck.
Exactly.
So that means don't put any Americans there.
I don't know who
one of the people. If you better pray that one of the players are not their country is not in the World Cup because they're gonna fuck up that match. They won't be.
They won't be watching. It was a major fail. Major.
All right. This is
all right. Good night, everyone. I hope you enjoy our podcast and let us know in the comment below. And Realz answer the comments. He does. He really does. Alrighty then. Good night.
Good night.
Hold on. Let's see if it gets off the line.